Hello, cool and attractive listener. Welcome to episode 43 of the Geek Press. I'm Noah, and today co-host Lewis and I talk about the brand new season of The Mandalorian, talk about the penultimate episode of The Last of Us, and give a little bit of DC Comics news. If you enjoy what you're listening to, please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe on us on all social media platforms, and give us really good ratings so we can climb the podcasting charts, get all the way to the top, and then bow out gracefully, like every podcast should honestly do. Thanks for listening.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, theys and thems. My name is Luis Gutierrez, and welcome to episode 43 of the Geek Press Podcast. I am joined by my ever slightly rotating list of celebrity co-hosts, and today I am joined by the one and the legendary Seth Rogen. Seth Rogen, do you want to talk about the Ninja Turtles trailer you just dropped?
Hey, how's it going there? How's happening, Lewis? It's crazy stuff with the Ninja Turtles. Everyone's like, why are they black? And I'm just like, they've always been black. I don't even know where to take this. Hi, everyone. I'm Noah Garcia. Every week, I'm subjected to do celebrity impressions of celebrities who, honestly, I actually know what Seth Rogen sounds like. I just can't achieve that with my vocal range. So, yeah, I'm sorry.
You didn't even try to do the laugh.
I did it. Can you do the laugh? I'm not good at it.
Is it like that?
I can't do it. So I just gave up and did my own interpretation. But hi guys, how's it going? I hope everyone's doing well.
We took a week off.
We should go a week off just because we were just so busy being rich and famous and successful. We just had to take some time to ourselves, you know?
Yeah, this podcast has really changed our lives.
And it really has.
We have to we get truckloads of money in, so we have to devote a whole day seeing where we're gonna put it. We have so much, we just gotta burn it.
Yeah, honestly, sometimes I don't even use my heating bill. I just throw piles of money into my fireplace.
Yeah, because it just makes more sense to burn the money. It's cheaper than spending.
It's honestly cheaper. Yeah, makes no sense. But Lewis, how are you doing? What's going on? Have you listened to anything new? Have you watched anything new? What's going on with you?
Oh, okay. So, this week, my girlfriend and I went to the movies. And as you guys know, there's really nothing out right now except for maybe Creed. And
I've heard Creed was really good.
Yeah, so I haven't watched Creed yet. I'll get into that in a second. But I didn't know that there was a Guy Ritchie film that came out. And I like Guy Ritchie films. I think they're really fun and they're really good. And so he made this movie called Operation Fortune, Ruse de Guerrero. I don't know if I'm more than likely saying that wrong. It's with Jason Statham, Aubrey Plaza, a few other people. It's pretty much like a spy thriller comedy. Like if you guys have ever watched the show Archer, it's basically Archer if it was live action. And I enjoyed it a lot. I thought it was really, really good. You watch Guy Ritchie films because he tries to be a little artsy, but then he tries to be a little raunchy. But it was a fun movie. Like if you guys have nothing to do on a Tuesday night or something, go watch it for a $5 Tuesday. It's a solid movie. I went to go watch that. And earlier this week I on my Twitter, it's nothing but video games for the most part. And everyone's talking about E3, because E3's coming up. And E3 is coming up in June, so it's a couple months from now, but it's creeping. And so what had happened was I was like, let me see if I could apply for a press pass. Just because I wouldn't be I wouldn't be going under GameSpot or IGN, because those guys have specific people they always send out, the few events I've been to, I've spotted the same GameSpot people. I'm like, oh, okay, you're the correspondent, if you will. And so I was like, okay, so I went, and what was really cool about this was that they had a whole section for freelancers, which that's what I am. And so I was able to just say, hey, I work with these guys, but I'm a freelancer. And sent in my application. I filled out they just really want to know it's you, so there's a lot of stuff you have to send in. Not too much though. I heard back literally maybe like 2 days later, which is pretty quick if you ask me. And they're like, "Hey, congratulations, you got approved." And I was like, "Shit, okay, this is cool."
That's so
But
exciting.
but I have a new wave of problems that I will be facing now because of this.
Mhm,
The first one is that I will be out of because I will be there at the LA convention center. I won't be home working. So that means I'll be out money, potential money I could be making.
mhm,
So now I have to try to see how can I turn this into money? You know, how this is going to be a fun week, but how am I going to profit off of this?
mhm,
So I am kind of like getting the gears turning. I'm gonna like start to see what I can do, who's the guest list, like who's gonna arrive, because
mhm,
like I said, GameSpot already has their own correspondents, but I'm not gonna say my game plan out loud, but I'm already kind of thinking how I can work with these guys and how I can work with potentially other outlets. And on top of that, E3's been kind of a shit show, like behind the scenes. Like it's funny because the last E3 I went to, which was my first E3, which conveniently was the last one they had in person prior to this, and that was in 2018. That was right before COVID and the lockdown, everything bad happened, you know? So they've had a few E3s prior, but they were like all digital. And at that E3, I think that was the first one or the second one, I forget. That PlayStation was like, "We're
mhm,
out. We're not doing E3," which was a big sign right there because PlayStation's, obviously the one of the biggest people in gaming. And Xbox already kind of had one foot out the door. I'm giving you guys a little behind the scenes and
mhm,
I'll say how this makes sense.
mhm,
Xbox already kinda had one foot out the door, and, they were like, "Yeah, we're gonna be at E3, but we're not gonna be at E3," which is weird because they weren't at the actual convention center, they were at the Microsoft Theater, and for
mhm,
those who aren't, LA locals, the Microsoft Theater is literally right across the street from the convention center. So if you wanted to go to the Xbox portion of E3, you would literally have to leave the convention and go there, which isn't that much of a deal, but it's like if you have a lot of interviews lined up, yada yada yada, it can become kind of a problem. And so now this year, Xbox straight up said we're not going to be at E3. So what I'm thinking is, are they just going to do the same thing as last time, where it's like they're just going to be at the Microsoft Theater, which is across the street? So technically, they're not going to be a part of E3, but they're technically going to be a part of E3, if that makes sense.
mhm,
Then on top of that, now take this with a grain of salt because I forgot, if I'm being honest, but I think Nintendo has like one foot out the door. So everyone's like, "What the fuck is going on with E3?" Because like everyone's kind of backing out. But the peop,
mhm.
but E
Nintendo confirmed that it's missing E3.
Oh, okay, okay. So yeah, there we go. And that's the thing too. Nintendo for like their side of E3, which is really cool. They
Mhm,
essentially turn it into a mini like theme park. Like they have like the last time I was there, they had like Luigi's Mansion and they had like the Luigi doll, like a big one.
mhm.
They had like a giant Link's Awakening doll. It was super super cool.
Like, they put a lot of effort into creating, like, an experience.
Exactly. That's the word I'm looking for.
Mhm,
And so what had what had happened was E3 PR said that like, "Oh, we still have like a lot of like AAA studios coming."
mhm,
So, I don't know, but one thing I am excited about and I'm hoping they have something again similar to this. Last time I had went, they Fortnite had their own thing and they had like a whole little booth where it's like you
mhm,
go into like a Fortnite vehicle, but it was a life-size Fortnite vehicle and like there's like a giant green screen behind you and you like move around and take
mhm.
pictures and then they send you the footage and then like the final footage is like you in this Fortnite vehicle like with all the other Fortnite characters like hauling ass.
That's fun.
Yeah, so I'm like I'm hoping they have something like that again. I have that on my Instagram and like I'll
Mhm,
send it to you cuz it's super fucking funny. But, I'm hoping they have something like that again, and, worst case scenario, if, um, if I can't get any work, I'm just gonna do a bunch of interviews and throw them up on our YouTube channel.
Mhm.
But that's worst case scenario. But yeah, that's the plan right now. Of like what happened. But that's
I
pretty much
uh
it right now. I'm sorry, I cut you off. What were
I
you gonna
don't
say?
I don't know I don't know if you saw, but yesterday, IGN published an article that said Xbox confirms that it won't be on the E3 show floor,
Yeah.
but it will, co-stream the Digital Week. So I think it's interesting that you have Xbox and Nintendo, these huge giants of the industry, pulling out of E3.
Mhm.
It's giving me, like streaming services when they become so big, and then the people who own certain stuff are like, "Oh, you know what? We're gonna take our stuff off of Netflix and make it Paramount." You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
how it's I feel like that's sort of happening. Like Xbox, some in the following years, Xbox will be like, "We're just gonna have an Xbox convention." You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
Microsoft convention. Like I feel like I could see that happen.
And that's what, like, other studios were, like, kind of doing. They kinda use E3 week as, like they're like, "Okay, E3 like, the E3 showcases on Tuesday, we'll have ours on fucking Monday." Or we'll and then another studio will be like, "Oh, you guys are having yours on Monday, we'll do ours on Sunday." You know?
Yeah, exactly.
But, it's gonna be cool, like, I'm really excited just for a few reasons. Um, it's the same as, like, the Game Awards.
Uh-huh.
There's gonna be an after party at the same spot because it's, like, right in the same area.
Mhm.
And so I'm probably just gonna pull up to the same spot again and try to network as much as I can and see, like, people I can potentially meet again because I made some friends in the industry, and I'd love to meet up with them, so this would be a great excuse to, like, kinda hang out and maybe get a beer or 2.
I
Just
wonder if you could pitch like I don't know. I feel like you could maybe. I feel like you could figure out some sort of interesting angle to work on, and I feel like you could figure out something. I like maybe something like a story or something that people wouldn't typically think of. You know.
yeah, like, I have a bit of a game plan already,
Hmm.
um, just because like, again, I'm being vague because I don't want anyone else to know my idea,
That's
but
why I'm not saying anything either, because I'm like, what if you did this? And I was like, I'll be quiet.
If anything, we'll talk about it after the
Hmm.
show. But, yeah, that was my week. Also too, I've been playing a little bit of Halo because they dropped a new season, and I was playing the multiplayer, and I was like, "Man, I am dog shit at this game. Like, I am not what I used to be." So, yeah, that was interesting. I felt like an old man right there. And, I've also been hitting the gym again. I only went, like, 2 times this week so far, but I'm just trying to get back into the habit of going back to the gym. But
Hmm.
what about you, Noah? I talked a lot for, like, a good, like, 10 minutes. How has your week been?
My week is good. I'm thinking I might start training because there's this 5K in Whittier that's supposed to be for a women's and children's shelter, and I barely because this is gonna sound really dumb. Trophy little awards are fun because there's something physical you can hold and be like, I achieved this. So last time I did it last year, I did manage to get a little medal because the first I think I wanna say, I don't know, like 100 people or 150 or something. It's one of those numbers. I know that's a big discrepancy, but like let's say 100 people, there's like physical medals you can get. And I managed to get there fast enough to get one, but I was like one of the last people. So I'm
Oh,
hoping if
you
I start
barely
training,
make the cut.
yeah, I'm wondering if I start training now, um, and running and doing a bit work on my cardio a bit, maybe I'll do a bit better.
Okay.
So that's my only issue is that I'm slow. I can go. I was about to be really dumb. I can go for a long time, I'm just really slow.
Okay.
So that's like my issue. So I'm hoping to work on my speed a bit more. So that's my focus. I finished Wednesday, finally.
Was that good? Is it, like
It was fun. It was nothing special, but it was fun.
okay, because I saw maybe,
Mhm,
like, the first 2 episodes, and
mhm.
then I was talking about it with Elizabeth the other day. I was like, "Should we go back and finish this?" And she was like, "I don't really care about it." And I was like, "Alright."
Yeah, it was cute, but if you didn't like if you didn't really care for it, the first 2 episodes is just more of the same.
'Cause it looks like, when they were, like, introducing everyone, they're like, "Oh, this is the jocks, this is the popular kids." I'm like, "Oh, this is kinda like Riverdale."
I would say it's better than Riverdale. Uh Not because that more so like lays the groundwork for the series. It's not like a big thing. Like there's a few like school competitions and events, but it's not like, oh, we have to get the jocks back for bullying us. Like there's none of that really.
Okay, okay.
So like that's just sort of sets up the different type of like people that are at the school that she's going to. I had a good time. It was fun. I thought it's interesting because on TikTok I've been seeing a lot of Jenna Ortega, the girl who plays Wednesday.
Yeah, she
She
was
talked
like the girl of the week for a hot minute.
yeah, she was a hot topic, but I thought it was interesting because in this podcast she was talking about how much pushback she had to do with the writers and directors because they would write stuff such as like her acting a way that she thought this is not how the character would act. I mean, because there's sort of a love triangle plot, and apparently in the original scripts, they were really emphasizing that the character of Wednesday got really into it. But Ortega was like, "Why would Wednesday ever care about a love triangle? She's not that type of character." And she would like change lines on set, and they'd have to like stop and be like, "Hey, don't worry about it." And it's funny because you see a lot of fans being like, "Yeah, she's staying true to the character," but like I'm fourth divorced from like film people, and there's some people that are like that sounds like a disaster on set for the directors, and
Yeah,
that's
I
right.
was gonna kind of say, she sounds like she was hard to work with.
Mhm, and I think it's interesting because there are fans that are like, "Oh, good for her," and there are some people that's like, that's." And it's funny because on the podcast, she was like, "Yeah, I understand that some of my behavior on set was borderline unprofessional." Like, she admits that, but she's like, "I just felt really into." It sounds bad the way I'm saying it.
No, let
She's
me.
like but it's interesting. I just wanna say one more thing. I thought it was interesting because Tim Burton on set was like, "Oh, can you act more emotionless? Can you act more robotic?" And then the actress was like, "Well, we need to give Wednesday an arc because if she's just a snarky bitch the entire time, like, no, she's not gonna be endearing. Like, there has to be some sort of character development." So I thought it was interesting hearing her talk about how she saw the character and how she kinda bumped heads a little bit with the writers.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm kind of team writers on this one,
Mhm.
because
You know, the thing is that I wouldn't blame you.
yeah, because I remember listening to a podcast with Troy Baker on it.
Mhm,
He is the guy who voices Joel in the Last of
mhm,
Us video games, and amongst a lot of other things. He had said on a podcast called Play Watch Listen that when he first started like getting his roles, he was very adamant on like change, ad lipping. Oh, maybe my character should say this and that, and like change stuff on the fly. And then at the end, he said at the end of one of his shoots, like when he was officially done with everything, the director came up to him and said, "Oh, Troy, you're a force of nature." And he was like, "Thank you." And he was like, "No, that's not a compliment."
yeah,
And then he was like, "What do you mean?" He was like, "Yes, you're very headstrong in what you want to do. We love that about you. You bring a lot of passion. You're extremely talented. But you're fighting the fights that don't need to be fought anymore." He was like,
mm,
I'm paraphrasing, okay? But it was
I was
something.
also paraphrasing,
Okay,
yeah.
but something along the lines of like, it's cool to change your character and say, "Hey, I'm making this scenario. What if Joel opens the door like this and says this instead of just banging in the door?" That's cool to
Mhm,
do every now and then, but you're over here changing scripts that we have writers who are extremely better than you. We have meetings that you are not a part of.
mhm,
We've fought this war already, and you're over here fighting this war all over again. You need to stop that and do what you're told. And I was like, "Oh shit, okay." That's
mhm.
like those are the vibes I'm kinda getting from her where it's like, "Okay,
I also understand her viewpoint though, because for the rest of her life, she'll be known as Wednesday.
that's
You may not
debatable."
no, for I mean, there are roles that define people for the rest of their life,
The
and I feel like if this is something that's gonna follow her for the rest of her life, and she wants to make that artistic choice to do something else, I understand her fighting for it. So
I
I'm saying I understand what you mean, but I also feel like as an actress, she has agency too. So I understand both sides.
as an acting major, I'm just kidding. It's an inside joke for Noah and I, but, I get that, but I'm just like, "Oh, man, you kind of sound like a lot like I wouldn't wanna work with you." I've
Mhm.
also seen, like, Twitter headlines of people say that, like, she didn't like filming, like, the set was kinda bad or
Well,
something, right?
she got COVID and she kept
Yeah,
on filming. It was a very tight schedule. They had to bring in Tim Burton like halfway through because it just wasn't working out with their director. It was that production was a fucking mess.
yeah, and I had also heard, I don't know if you know this, but she is in the show You. I don't know if you've ever watched You.
I've never heard of that.
It's like it's one of Netflix's, like, staple shows. It's pretty much, without getting into it, it's about a guy who kills people that he's in love with, essentially, you know?
Eesh.
It's a good
Uh-huh.
show, it's a really good show. You'd like it a lot, Noah. Um,
Okay.
um, what's it called? So she I'm gonna be vague because you haven't
Mhm.
watched it, and I want you to watch this 'cause it's genuinely a good show. Um,
Mhm.
she is in season 2 of You. This was one of her breakout roles, if you will. This was right
Mhm.
before she blew up, maybe like a year or 2 prior to this. Um, and she was supposed to she was rumored to be in the current season of You, but
Mhm.
while the current season was filming, she was, in buttfuck nowhere filming, Wednesday. So she, like, went on record and said, like, "Yeah, I really wanted to do this, but, like, my schedule wouldn't let me," and I was, like, really upset about it. And so I was like, "Oh, okay." So, like, that's kinda interesting to know that, like, you your availability kinda screwed your chances of that, but I feel like
Mhm.
the pros outweigh the cons of being, like, an additional character on a show that you're not the lead versus being
Yeah.
the lead of your show.
Mhm.
But yeah, I just thought that was interesting too that she could have been in the current season of You.
I think that is interesting. I feel like people always forget how long these productions take.
Like a
Like, I know that.
year.
Oh, yeah, and I know a lot of these Marvel actors are really happy, not because they're, like, done with Marvel, but when they're not doing those movies anymore, because productions on that stuff can take, like, years out of your life.
Mhm.
So we'll continue to watch Jenna Ortega. Maybe this was just sort of a fluke. Maybe it's a sign of a bad habit. Who knows?
I know she did like Hot Ones.
I did not watch I've never seen an episode of Hot Ones, but it looks like a lot of.
Yeah, honestly, he's a good fucking interview host.
Mhm.
If you wanna like kind of like learn a bit off of him, like granted he has a team who does research, but that's something they don't talk about, which I find extremely funny. But he's a good host. He's a really good host. You'd learn a thing or two just off of watching
Yeah,
him.
he's a very natural interviewer from the clips I've seen.
I based a lot of my interviews off of him.
Mhm.
So yeah, like how I kind of conduct interviews is like how he does his.
There's also something, like, just really casual about eating wings that I feel like opens you up to just be more
I
relaxed.
think so too, because wings are like a nasty food, no matter how you put it.
Yeah, it's, very messy. It's incredibly messy. You know what? I'm gonna be on the record right now. I don't care if we lose listeners. I prefer boneless wings to bone wings.
I have the same argument with my girlfriend.
Are you pro or con?
They're just chicken nuggets at that point.
I'm okay with that.
Ah, I
I'm
need
I'm alright, and you know what? I like chicken nuggets.
I
I'm
need
not
that
gonna lie.
bone, baby.
That bone, you wanna suck on it?
Mhm.
You know what? I do like the little, like, fat on it that you can just, like, suck off. That's pretty good.
You just like sucking off the chicken.
I do. You know what? We've never gone viral. I want that clip to go viral and just live with me forever.
And then PETA will hit you up. No
I
one
don't
likes
give
to suck off chickens.
PETA euthanizes thousands of animals a year and are terrible. I don't give a damn about PETA.
But what if like PETA is like gonna turn themselves around? They're like, today's the day, and then they hear this clip of you, Noah.
I don't care. But you know what? This is a random tangent because I hate PETA. But do you know that Kill Bill song by SZA?
Yeah.
It's just the way I said PETA right now. There's this voice
Oh,
impersonationist
the Family
on
Guy version.
TikTok. Yeah, I heard. I was picking up my nephew from school, and he was just staring at the window, and he goes, "I might kill my PETA. Not the best idea." And I was just like, "Ugh, I don't like that. I know what you're referencing."
You know, I sometimes wish that I was a kid in today's generation,
Mhm,
just because like we had Vine,
mhm.
and well, you're like yeah, we were more or less the same high school class.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, like, we had Vine, and that was, like, the stepping stones of TikTok and
Yeah.
all that, but it was just, like we didn't have, like, Fortnite and all, like, the other, like, you know, all this other, like, mainstream kiddie stuff like Roblox and shit too.
Mhm.
So I really wanna know what it's like to be a kid growing up in this world now, where it's like social media since the day you're born is a thing. You gotta get on TikTok. Everyone I'm pretty sure like there's like 10 people in your class who are TikTokers and like another like 3 people who are like YouTubers because I remember when I went to high school, there was maybe like a handful of kids who would walk around with like vlog cameras. And
Yeah, it wasn't a commonplace thing. It was like, "What are you doing?" "Oh, cool, wow."
Yeah, but I'm pretty sure now there's like 1 in every 10 kids you see is trying to be an influencer or some sort.
Mhm.
I
I mean,
really
my nephew is he goes on Discord and will talk with his friends while he's doing homework, and I have to yell at him. I'm just like, "Get off Discord, stop talking to your friends, finish your work." And he's like, "I'm doing my work." I'm just like, "You're half paying attention."
this is such an interesting world that they're growing up in, and I kinda wish I was a part of, like, that
Yeah,
little
especially since we're,
upbringing.
like, geeky gamer guys, like, it would be crazy right now.
Yeah, I'd be going off.
The time of the jock is over, now it's time for the nerds. Take that, nerds.
But, speaking of nerds and jocks, um, did
Oh my
you
gosh, well, I'm sorry, what's your
what
transition?
there was no transition, I was forcing it. Alright, what we said?
I was about to say, I have DC comic news.
Yeah, go ahead and talk about it because I saw your TikTok and I'm like, "This sounds lame. All those heroes. I could care less about any of those guys."
I was gonna respond because you tweeted something like, "I'm asleep," and I was just like, "Stay slept," but I forgot to respond.
Yeah, I
But,
saw I saw I saw that lineup, I'm like, "This is the weakest lineup, like, ever."
okay, let me explain this. So, there's this thing called Dawn of DC where they're just releasing a bunch of new books or they're restarting new books, right? Like, new Superman's at number 1, Green Arrow's at number 1, Flash is restarting at number 1, like, they're doing a bunch, and they're releasing these in waves. So, like, every few months, they're like, "Oh, these are the books we're coming out with." Okay. So
This
the
is main
biggest
continuity, right?
yeah, the biggest news, is Wonder Woman is rebooting with number 1, new team and everything. Steel, which is, like, the guy is one of the guy, I think his
Like,
name,
robot Superman, essentially.
I believe his name is, John Irons. He was one of the people that took up the mantle of Superman after Superman died in the '80s.
They don't really do much with them either.
No, so him and I believe his daughter, because she's also Steel, Natasha Irons, John and Natasha, they're getting a book called Steelworks, and Hawk Girl is getting a book. So, those are, like, sort of the release, and I think it's the one I'm concerned about most is Wonder Woman. Are you ready for the premise of Wonder Woman?
Hit me.
Okay. And for anybody who cares, the artwork's done by Daniel Sempre, and the stories by Tom King, which I know is a very diversive writer for a lot of
I don't
people.
get that, he's such a good writer, like, people hate on him
Uh,
for the sake of hating.
I have my own issues, but that's a whole other podcast.
Wait, I'm thinking Tom Taylor. I like Tom
Yeah,
King
Tom Taylor.
too.
No,
I
I
like
like Tom Taylor, but Tom King is a whole other thing. But here's the premise: after a mysterious Amazonian is accused of mass murder, the U.S. Congress passes the Amazon Safety Act, barring all Amazons from American soil.
that
To
kinda
carry out
sounds like, fuck, what was it? It was, like, right after, like, 9/11. Something like that happened here
keep in
in
mind that Tom King is, as a writer, he's a writer, but he's also ex-CIA.
Really?
He is ex-CIA.
That's kinda cool. I didn't know Tom King was the ex-CIA. That
Uh,
but yeah, but, I'm sorry, I hate to interrupt you, but
no, you love it.
that was something that happened in real life, and it's fucking bugging me that I can't put my finger on it.
You know what? We'll talk about it and maybe you'll remember.
Okay.
To carry out its new law, the government sets up the Amazon Extradition Entity, AXE, task force to remove those who don't comply by any means necessary. In
Led
her
by
search for
Jason Todd.
oh my god, imagine. In her search for the truth behind the killing, Wonder Woman now finds herself an outlaw in the world she once swore to protect. The action-packed Wonder Woman #1 will be available at local comic book shops in July, and Wonder Woman 800 features a prelude to the story. So I feel like people, I have very mixed thoughts about this. I'm also like, Donna Troy is going to be in the Titans book coming out in May. She's in Amazon. How is this going to affect her?
Hmm.
So unless they're going to do some shit, because people always forget Donna. Like she's one of the more overlooked
Is
sidekicks.
she the Dodger of the DC
Yes.
universe?
She's the character everyone forgets. I mean, Nightwing is so popular. Even Arsenal and Red Hood, like even they get their spotlights.
Because Arsenal's always like tweaking out. That's why.
I mean, Wally West is the Flash right now, but Donna Troy is a very strange character that's always forgotten. What's kind of interesting, I could go on a whole rant. I'll stop in a second. But what's interesting about Donna Troy is that she wasn't originally her own character. DC saw the success of younger heroes and they wanted to make a team. So they looked at all the biggest sidekicks in their repertoire of books. And at the time, Wonder Woman was hanging out with a version of her from the past who came from the past to hang out with her. Now, this was like in the 70s or 60s or whatever. So it wasn't a new character. It was just a young version of Diana. But DC editorial didn't know that. They're just like, oh, Wonder Woman has a sidekick. Perfect. That's the girl for the team. So they had to create like a whole backstory for the character and everything. So like since day one, she's been on like the back of everyone's mind. Like,
Well, I remember reading a Titans book where she was like a weapon, right? Or like she was made of stone or something.
her current origin in the comic books is that she's made from clay,
There we go.
sort of adopting the first Wonder Woman origin because that's Wonder Woman's first origin, so it's like a callback. She was made from clay by an enemy of the Amazons to like destroy them, but the Amazons stopped the enemy and they saved her and they gave her like false memories of growing up and they accepted her. And that's one of the reasons why they gave that Wonder Woman wasn't as close with her sidekick as Batman was with like Nightwing, because Diana was like hesitant to be like, I don't know if I should be close to this person. Like she had a
So,
lot of her own
so what you're
feelings.
saying is Bruce is a better parent than
Yeah,
Diana.
100%. Yeah. Oh yeah. Let me tell you, I love Wonder Woman a lot. She should not be a mom. She should be a fun aunt.
Now let me ask you this question: who's the
I,
better father, Bruce or Clark?
oh my god, that's a really tough one
Gotta answer
because Bruce constantly lets his kids die and get the shit kicked out of them, but also Superman let his son go into space with his he let his son be in space for a long time, and then when his son came back, he was, like, older, and I don't know, Clark, that was fucked up, you should have done more. That's a really tough decision. I think I'm gonna say ooh, that's tough. I'm gonna say Clark.
You say Clark, okay? Because I was reading the Deceased comic you gave me, and it made me a little teary eye. Was when
Mm,
fuck, what's Clark's son? Jonathan.
John.
When John was fighting zombie Black Adam, he like
Mm,
screamed out, "Dad, help me!" And then
uh,
Superman was like mid conversation, he was like, "Got a jet," and fucking boom.
mhm,
And I was like, "All right, okay, you get the dad pass in my book."
and then what's sad is that Damien couldn't do that because his dad was dead. Sucks to be you.
Okay, so
So,
sorry, go on.
that's the biggest thing. I don't know how to feel about this because I don't know. I have issues with Tom King. I feel like sometimes he does really fantastic work that like defines characters. Like, and then there's times where I'm just like, why did you make these choices? So I am very divided on this, but I'm of course gonna buy it and I'll get back to you like several like in September. I'll get back to you. I'll be like, hey, remember when I talked about that comic? And then I'll let you know how it goes.
Well, I think Task Force Z Volume 2 comes out this month, right?
I don't know.
I think it does. I'm
Did
curious.
did Tom King write Task Force Z?
No, that
We
was
just wanted to
Matt.
talk about it.
Yeah, I just wanted to bring that up. Um, yeah, so I'm curious about that, how they're gonna do that one. Dude, you stick with your mainline heroes. I'm a little bit behind on Batman. I feel like it got weird with the new Batman story. Have you been reading it?
I
I'm
gave up on it 'cause it got too weird for me.
yeah, I'm an issue behind, but I'm
Mhm.
just like, okay, what the fuck? He got like blasted into like an alternate universe now. Like,
Yeah, no, literally the moment I saw that, I was like, "Oh, that sounds nice," and then I gave up on the book.
yeah, I'm thinking about taking it off my pull list just for that. Like, I'm gonna read the latest one, but I was just
Mhm.
like, "Oh, man," like
It's not even like the ideas are bad, I'm just not interested.
yeah, it's so, like, left hook. I will believe Batman surviving a fucking fall from space, but
Mhm.
but this, I'm like, I don't know about that."
It's
Anyways,
just like it's not even a bad idea, I'm just, like, not interested in that right
just
now.
came out of nowhere. That was it. It's
Yeah,
just
I'm just like, what and then, like, Gotham's without a Batman, I guess, right now? I mean, there's a bunch of vigilantes,
I was
but,
about to say, it doesn't fucking matter, bro. You see how big the Bat family is? They get a new member, like, every week.
yeah, that's my comic news. I'm excited for, Hawkgirl and Steelworks looks cool, but I don't know anything. But I like Hawkgirl mostly because I liked her in that animated series.
Mhm.
So I'm excited, and she hasn't had a solo book since, like, the 2000s.
I
So
wonder how it's gonna do then, because a lot's riding on that.
oh, yeah, I'm sure. And, I'm also a little sad because 'cause they're rebooting the Flash with a new writer, and I really this is the only time I've ever tried to, like, consistently pick up a Flash book.
Okay.
'Cause I'm not normally like I like this TV show because of how dumb it is,
Mhm.
but, um, I've never really cared for the comics, and, it's Wally West as the Flash with him and his family.
Mhm.
It's just it's a lot of good shit, it's really good.
I read a little bit of the Flash. I wouldn't say I read the comic. It was like the Flash Wars. It was when Wally and Barry were duking it out over some stupid.
Yeah.
So that was cool. Um, and I know you were like super into like the 1 minute war, right? Like the latest.
Yeah, that's going on right now, it's really cool.
So what's the premise of the 1 minute war? What's going on
Yeah,
now?
the 1-minute war is that aliens show up, and these aliens, they are powered their ships and stuff are powered by the Speed Force.
Oh,
So
okay.
literally, it's a 1-minute war because when they come to planets, it only takes them 1 minute to do, like, months of conquering over the planet.
Ah, okay,
Like
okay.
literally, this is not a spoiler because it's in previews, but they show up and everybody but free speedsters are, like, frozen in time because they're moving so so, like, this is literally a problem that only, like, the Flash family can solve.
That sounds actually pretty cool. Okay.
It is really cool. I feel like it's gonna read amazing in trade, but I'm enjoying it by the single issue.
Okay, okay.
So it's really good. I really enjoy it. I think it's a lot of fun. It's an interesting premise,
Mhm.
and, I'm sad it's coming to an end because I think there's only 2 more issues and then the arc is over.
Okay,
I'm excited.
I was
I like
curious about that. Yeah, but those are like the only like Flash ones I read. Like the closest I got is like DC Rebirth Titans with Wally, and then the Flash Wars, which was like I think maybe a little bit after that. But I've never actually
yeah,
read a Flash comic.
I'll next time I see you, I'll lend you some if you want.
I'm down. I'm down. I like the Flash. I think he's a cool hero.
But, you know who else is a really cool hero?
Ooh.
Din Djarin. Transition, that was clean. Clean as fuck.
Yeah, I haven't watched the latest episode as of yet, so I'm an episode behind.
Lewis.
From what I heard on TikTok, everyone's horny over Bo-Katan.
Oh, yeah, she's great.
Yeah, that's what that's the latest thing that like she's looking pretty cute. But
I've
I
what do you
oh,
think of the first episode?
I enjoyed the first episode. I thought it was nice. I also thought it was kind of funny how Bo-Katan was just casually sitting in an empty castle alone.
Oh, yeah, she's just vibing.
Yeah,
She's just
fucking blasting MCR, just in her thoughts. Um, I liked it a lot. One thing I thought was interesting is just that the
mhm,
Mando is like so entranced with tradition still, and
mhm,
he's saying like how do I atone for my sins? I'm like, motherfucker, you
mhm,
have the black saber. You are the leader. Like, why are you doing that?
mhm.
I know
And I think
it's
it's
oh, go
interesting
for it.
that I'm sorry, go ahead.
Go for it.
I wonder if this season will have, like, him stepping away from his traditions,
I could see that.
because that's something that's been it's like your whole life you've been Catholic, and then you get excommunicated from the church, and then you're, like, trying to get back, but as you get back, you kinda realize, "Oh, wait, Catholicism fucking sucks." You know what I mean? Like, it's that type of thing where he has to be like, "Is this thing I've believed in my whole life, maybe it's flawed, maybe there's something wrong with it."
One thing I wanted to talk to you about was I really thought it was funny how they wrote off Cara Dune's character.
Mhm.
They were saying like, "Oh, she joined special forces and she's with
Mhm.
the fucking the rebellion now." Well, they're not the rebellion anymore, but
The New Republic or
yeah,
whatever.
she's special forces with the New Republic, so we don't know where the fuck she's at. And I was like, "That's a good way of writing her off, where you don't have
That
to."
actress really fumbled her fucking bag.
You know what? You want to know something even more funny? So
What?
I had on Twitter, she was like, she would go on like record saying like, "Oh, I'm happy I lost my, I'm no longer part of Disney, blah 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 blah," right?
Mhm.
But I saw on TikTok a couple of people actually on TikTok. It wasn't just one person that when
Mhm.
she goes to people still hire her for conventions to do like pictures and whatnot. She
Mhm.
has a cardboard cutout of the Mando and I think her character. So when people do like photo ops with her, she still like rides that Mando train.
Mhm.
So even though she was saying, "I don't care," she obviously cares. She was just trying to
Yeah.
sound cool.
I think it's sad because when she did do her, like, big conservative film, it was something on the prairie. It's some, like,
It was a Ben
Western something.
Shapiro movie, wasn't it?
Yeah, and literally, the Republicans were like, "Oh, this is too woke."
Really?
Yeah, there were reports of people saying that it was too woke because she's like a prairie woman who fights with a gun, right? And people were like, "Oh, this woke propaganda." And it's just so funny, like, she can't win. And if she had just kept her mouth shut, been quiet, she could have, like, a show right now.
Oh, 100% she would have had a show.
Like, wasn't there the whole thing, like, Rangers of the New Republic or whatever? There was a whole thing where, like, people were, like, talking like, "Oh, she could get her own show." And she fumbled the bag.
Uh,
Totally fumbled the bag, so sucks to be you, lady.
you know, that almost happened to Chris Pratt.
Oh, yeah?
I don't know, I just feel like I just feel like
Okay.
that
No, Chris Pratt is just too high profile to ever he could be like, "Yeah, I hate the gays." And people would still be like, "Oh, it's okay, he's so funny."
You ever see that, that cast photo he took with, the Mario people?
I think so.
It's
Isn't Jack Black in, like, an outfit or something?
yeah, yeah, Jack Black's in a Bowser costume, and then, uh, he I think it's Keegan or whatever, whoever the other I always mix up Key and Peele. What and they're all just kinda there making goofy faces, and Chris Pratt's, like, kinda awkwardly smiling in a corner. Have you seen that picture?
I think I've seen it, yeah.
I love that picture because everyone like, even everyone in the comment sections on all of those photos are like, "Dude, why does Chris Pratt look like he doesn't even wanna be there? Like, he's not even trying to smile." And I'm
I feel
like,
like he does.
"Yes, like, keep the Chris Pratt hate going."
Just wanted his bag, honestly.
Okay, but yeah, so Mando, going back to that, I thought it was good. It's been a little bit since, it's been, like, about a week, so I don't remember too much. Mando's
Mhm,
kinda one of those shows, for me, at least right now, it's just, like, I kinda forget about, and then I'm like, "Oh, yeah, Mando." Just because The Last of Us is right there, you know?
mhm,
But I enjoyed it. I think it's a good first step, and I like how they're like, I'm gonna go back to Mandalore," and Bo-Katan's saying, "Mando, you're fucking dumb. It's all radiated, it's glass, there's nothing there," and he was like, "Well, I'm gonna go anyways." And that was pretty cool. And one thing I really did enjoy though was seeing,
mhm,
the planet they went to. Fuck, I'm so bad with character names, but he's like the leader of their planet,
mhm.
and he's like, and they saw the droid that saved baby Yoda, and how he tried to bring him back, and as soon as he tried
Oh,
to bring him back,
he goes to Navarro to meet Grief Karga.
see, I'm not gonna remember any of these fucking names, and he rebuilds the droid, and as soon as he rebuilds the droid, he immediately goes after fucking Grogu, like, without
Mm.
skipping a beat. And for some reason, Mando can't hit a crawling fucking droid. I found
Okay,
that a little weird.
I have a realization,
What's up?
while while watching these. He's dumb. Matt Dintajaran is kind of a dumbass, and that just makes me like him more because he's just kind of like a himbo. Like, honestly, he's like a jock from high school who's just really into God, and he doesn't know what he's doing. Like, what he is. Like, did you watch Boba Fett?
Yeah, I watched Boba Fett.
Well, when he's like practicing with a dark saber and he just fucking sucks at it, I just thought that was so funny.
That's right. Yeah, he does it.
And he's just he fucking sucks. He's like, oh yeah, I can pick up a sword and like be a fucking samurai, but then he like fucking drops it a lot.
Okay, is there a reason to that? Like, did they ever talk about it in the Clone Wars? Is it like a heavy weapon to wield or
Oh,
something?
the thing is that the dark saber is very reactive to one's thoughts and intent. So
Okay.
it's hard for one to use it unless like they're fully confident within their role. So someone like Din Djarin, who very much doesn't want to be the leader of anything, is having a hard time using it. I think the armorer explains in the Boba Fett episode, and it's easy to forget because I forget most of Boba Fett. But the armorer is just like, "Oh yeah, your heart's not in it, bro. It's not gonna work for you."
Well,
Like she
okay,
says something.
but what's that? Why is that so hard to use? But anyone could pick up a lightsaber.
Oh, the dark saber itself is special. It's the only time someone from the planet of Mandalore had ever become a Jedi, and there's a bunch of lore with it that I can't remember off the top of my head, but it is like a special type of
Okay, the Force.
yeah, the Force. Whenever you don't know how to explain something in Star Wars, just be like the Force. Ooh.
But
So yeah.
going back to that, I did enjoy it though. I thought it was a good setup, and the bandits where Mando was getting chased by them. I feel like that's gonna come back later to bite him in the
Mhm.
ass some way, shape, or form.
Pirate
Because
King or whatever, right?
yeah, and I did like seeing fucking space swamp thing. That was cool.
Mhm.
I thought that guy was really really cool. But I don't remember too much. But I'll let you take the reins. Go ahead and say what you got to
I'm
say.
very excited. I am just interested to see where this all goes. I hope this is gonna sound silly, but I hope he kind of rejects his cult. I hope he's just like, honestly, fuck you, armor, fuck you. I'm gonna fuck you guys. I feel like Bo-Katan throughout both Rebels and the Clone Wars, her biggest issue I feel is her own pride that often gets in the way of things. And I've said this before, I'll say it again. If she had just like Din offered her the dark saber, he was like, "Here you go. I don't want this shit. Fucking take it." And she was like, "No, you have to win it by combat." I'm just like, "Bitch, take the fucking sword. Just take the sword. Your homies that came with you to help, 100%, they will be like, yeah, she got it."
Oh,
Like I,
didn't she say in the new season that they left her or something?
yeah, everyone left her. She was just like, "They're fucking tired of me not doing my shit," so they all dipped.
Like, all right, we've heard this story 1,000 times. Fuck.
They're just like, "Bo, get your shit together. How many times have you lost the dark saber? How many times?
He sounds
You
like the
can't."
Vegeta of
Oh,
Star
big Vegeta
Wars.
energy. Yeah.
Just right when you think Vegeta's gonna win the fight, he just gets his ass beat just like Bo-Katan.
That's because Toriyama can never let Vegeta win a fight.
Hey,
Toriyama,
wait, hold on. Did you watch Dragon Ball Super?
yeah.
Did you not see him win the fight at the end?
I'm gonna be very honest with you. I don't remember what the fuck you're talking about.
Okay, hold on. I'm gonna take this on
I
a side.
forgot. I forgot. I completely forgot.
Okay,
I just remember all the cute shit. I watched it
so
on my phone.
so for those who are unaware, every now and then on my timeline, people post full on movies on Twitter, and it's fucking hilarious. Like the last time was Rush Hour,
Mhm,
and this time was Dragon Ball. And every time I see it, I repost it because I'm like, I hope
mhm,
somebody can get enjoyment out of this. So someone posted the Dragon Ball superhero movie on Twitter, and then I retweeted it. I was like, man, Twitter's a wild place. Noah
mhm.
likes the tweet, and then maybe like an hour later comments on something. I'm like, wait, is he actually watching the fucking movie? And so Noah told me, he was like, yeah, I'm working on it. So this person uploaded it in two separate tweets. So I don't know if you saw the
Mhm,
second tweet.
mhm,
Okay, so at the beginning of that movie, Goku, Vegeta, and Broly are at Whis' planet and they're training. And Vegeta makes it a whole point because he was like, I need to adopt Jiren's fighting style because that's what
mhm,
made him so dangerous. And Whis is like, "Oh, you're learning. That's exactly why he was dangerous. It wasn't because he was stronger than you, it was because of his methods." And so, that's kind of like then they're fighting on the planet, and
Mhm.
Brawly is just, watching, just learning. Then they cut to the rest of the movie, and then they cut back to them at the very end. And it turns out this whole time while Gohan and them were fighting for their fucking lives, um, Goku and Vegeta were just brawling. And at the end of the fight, both of them are like super, super tired. And they both do like, that hit where they punch each other in the face.
Mhm.
They mimic something like that, but Goku misses, and then Vegeta like gives him a little punch on the cheek, and that punch knocks out Goku.
Honestly, good for Vegeta.
Yeah, and so that he's like, "Yeah, I did it. I beat Kakarot." And that's it. And then the movie ends. So he
Good.
finally got his first win.
You know what? Good for him. I don't think I watched that part, to
That was
be
like the end
honest.
of the movie. That was like I think that was like a post-credit scene or something.
I just remember, like, Gohan's, like, special beam cannon and fucking Trunks and Goten and fucking Android 18 showing up to help and, like, the whole fucking ultimate for like, I love Piccolo and Gohan are, like, 2 of my favorite characters
Uh-huh.
in the series, so I was just happy to see them get so much spotlight.
I just don't like Gohan's new look. It looks like a middle
No, I
schooler
get
drew
it.
that.
I get it. I'm not gonna lie with you. I get it 'cause also, I don't think the animation did it any favors.
No, it looks so bad. I'm like, this is what like middle school Louis would have drawn if you said, "Hey, come up with the Super Saiyan."
You know what? Gohan is a homeschooled kid. What are you gonna do?
I'm not gonna accept that excuse because he's a fucking professor now. So no, I'm not gonna accept that.
He has a whole fucking he was working on this project in the beginning of the movie. He's just like, "I'm doing these things on these beetles." I'm just like, "Whatever."
And just like in Dragon Ball, it suffers with tradition, just like the man. I'm just kidding. I don't know how I'm gonna bring this back.
Anyway, I forgot how we got there, but Mandalorian, very excited for the future. Um, I'm interested to see them focus on Din Djarin because even though he has had a smidgen of development over the seasons, it's mostly been about baby Grogu.
Yeah.
Like a lot of it has been focused around him, and I'm still. I talked to a friend because I was posted on Instagram that I was like, "Oh yeah, I'm watching it," and then somebody was like, "Ugh, the sorry," and I'm just like, "What do you mean sorry?" And he's like, "I don't like that baby Grogu is back," and I'm just like, "You know what? I get it." But
No,
I don't care because I love them together so
I was
much.
about to say that person's just trying to sound different, you know?
Mhm,
Say what you will, Baby Yoda's cute. Okay?
mhm,
I'll take him. Well, if he fits the narrative purposes, I'll take him. He doesn't feel forced in the show at all. So
mhm.
the second he starts to feel forced is the second I start to have a problem.
The
But
second you're just like, "Fuck that baby."
yeah, or it's like all of a sudden he'll pop out in a room like, where the fuck were you at this whole time, you know? But like he serves a narrative purpose, you know?
Mhm.
So I'm all for it.
Is a part of in the same way that Ellie is part of the development of Joel, Grogu is part of the development of Din Djarin.
Exactly, they're synonymous with one. So
Exactly,
what did you
and
think?
they're coming at the same time, so that's crazy.
What did you think of the last episode, the latest episode? I should say?
I think it's
Spoiler
interesting because
alert! Spoiler alert,
spoiler
everyone.
spoiler alert for the latest
Yeah,
episode.
for the Kevin's. If you
Mhm.
haven't watched the latest episode of The Last of Us, goodbye.
But that is the name of our fans are the Kevins.
Yeah.
So all you Kevins out there that haven't seen the show, just stop listening. I feel like this is the last thing
And
we're gonna
shout out
talk.
to Kevin Prime.
Shout out to Kevin Prime. I liked it a lot. I I feel like this is one of the moments where they really should have stuck to the video game, and for the most part, they did.
Yeah.
Like a really huge moment for Ellie.
Uh huh.
So I really enjoyed it. I thought it was interesting because I feel like they made the character, what is his name? David. I feel like they made him kind of worse in the show than they did in the game.
Yeah, I was talking about this with Elizabeth, and I was like, maybe I just conveniently ignored all the clues, but I do not remember them explicitly being cannibals.
Oh, no, it was I feel like it was more blatant in the game if I remember correctly, 'cause you, like, saw, like, immediately it was kind of like they're cannibals.
Okay, I just completely fucking tuned that part out then. I
Yeah, no,
was
it's a big thing that they're fucking cannibals.
Okay, okay, okay.
So, what did you think of it?
I thought it was good. I thought it was really, really good. Like, as regards to sticking as close as you can to the source material, this was probably one of the better episodes at doing that. And I one thing I really liked about it,
Mm,
it's just Ellie. It's just kind of her like surviving too, because
mm,
for those who haven't played the game, at that point in the game, you play as Ellie.
mhm.
And that level, it's like 75 Ellie, 25 Joel. That's like how it's split for the most part. And I really just kind of like how it's her on her own trying to survive, but at the same time trying to save her dad, trying to save
Mhm,
Joel. And one thing I thought was super cool was that kind of going back to what I was saying about like Troy Baker, how he voices Joel. He was
mhm.
also in this episode.
Oh,
Um
was he?
yeah, so again, Troy Baker is the guy who voiced Joel in the video games. He
Mhm.
was David's right-hand man in the
Gotcha.
episode. He was the one who shot the horse, and then he was right about to shoot Ellie as she was on the floor.
But
And
then
then
David was like, "Oh, a little girl."
yeah, ooh, fucking like a creep.
Yeah, I got fucking creeped. What did you think about the change? Because I did research this. The change from the game to the show is that in the game, Joel finds Ellie, like, fucking messed, like, killing David, and
Mhm,
he pulls her off. He pulls her off the corpse, and then he
mhm.
comforts her, but in the show, like, Ellie keeps stabbing into him, and she stops herself, and
Yeah,
then, like, what goes outside, then he finds her.
because
So
that
what do
the
you think about this?
the change wasn't all that big because it's like that still happens. Ellie like stabs the fuck out of him and like keeps doing that, and then Joe interrupts the stabbing process.
Mhm,
I it didn't really bug me. I feel like more or less the same message. It's delivered where it's like sometimes you're on your own. Sometimes your Superman's not gonna be there to save you.
but I
And
think that's interesting because in the game, her Superman stops her. He's like,
yeah,
"Stop, we need." In the show, she has to, like, stop herself.
I kind of like the show a little bit better because I feel like
Mhm,
it's more realistic. You know, like no
mhm,
one's gonna stop you. No one's like if you're in a fit of rage and you're gonna kill somebody,
mhm.
no one's really gonna no one's really gonna get through to you. Like it's right then and there.
I wonder if maybe they made that decision in the show to have her stop herself as sort of like a foreshadowing to the 2nd season.
Perhaps because
Not
without
like, not to give spoilers, yeah.
yeah, not to give spoilers, but she's like a fucking killing machine in the second one.
And, like, there is that conversation of, like, how much death is enough for one person.
Yeah,
That's, like, one of the themes and, like, how much death can you sow
and
before it's
I will say though that line, I feel like Pedro Pascal did it better than Troy Baker, where he was
mhm,
like, "Don't worry, baby girl, I got you," and like hugs her. I feel
mhm,
like it just delivered better in the show because
mhm.
I felt that line, I felt that emotion where he is like that's my baby girl, that's my daughter, like I will go to the ends of the earth to protect you. And I just I felt that father-daughter connection right there, and that was really, really fucking strong.
I really enjoyed that moment too. I think if HBO wasn't fucking cowards, they would let Bella Ramsey grow up a couple years and then just keep her in that role.
I will say this, have you been watching the post show?
No, I have not.
I
Should I
told you to
start
start watching the post show. I
you told me
fucking
to start
told you this weeks ago.
I'm sorry. You know what? We haven't talked about this in a while, so that's why. I blame that.
The fuck out of here with that, okay? I will say this because this was my biggest gripe too.
Mhm,
I was like, she looks young. She looks a little too young. She looks like a kid still. But in the post-show interviews when she's, like, dressed casually, she looks like her age. She
mhm.
looks like a was she, like, 20 something, right?
I think so. But she has a very young face, though.
Yeah, but so does, like, fucking Ellie in The Last of Us too, you know?
Yeah, true.
But I think that the biggest thing is how you dress her, because she's dressed like a kid right now.
Mhm.
So, but in the post show interviews, Bella Ramsey looks age appropriate because she's like what, like 20, early 20s. I don't know exact her age. In her early 20s. And I was like, "Oh," and then even Elizabeth was telling me, she was like, "No, she could play her age because they put on makeup on her too." It's like very again, I'm no fucking makeup artist or anything, so I'm not going to act like I know what I'm talking about. But you could tell they put on a little bit of makeup to make her look a little bit younger too. So, I think I could confidently say that she like, if they let's say they start production, like, next week, which again, I don't know if that's true, I'm pulling that out of my ass. Um, I think she could pass as, like, because Ellie in the game at this point is, like, 18, 19, give or take. So,
Mhm.
they could just say, yeah, 18, 19 years old and have her dressed a little bit more maturely.
Mhm. Well,
I
'cause I had seen some articles that of a possible recast, and I'm just like, I
I
would
don't
prefer
want
I
that. Yeah,
don't want that either.
because that's where, I never finished the season, but,
Mhm.
in House of Dragon they do that. And I never got to that point where they recasted her, but,
Mhm.
there's one of the Targaryens, she's the main lead, she's, like, this young girl, fucking phenomenal actress, she is good, like, really, really good, and then they recast her for a much older lady, like, halfway through the season,
Mhm.
because like, they do, like, a time skip or something, but I'm like, "Why would you do that?" Like, just wait a little bit, you know?
Mhm.
But yeah, I don't want them to recast Bella Ramsey because if they do, I feel like that would be a great disservice to her.
Yeah, so fingers crossed they keep her on board because she's really good in the role.
Mhm. I am curious too. I've seen like headlines, but I never clicked on any of them. That supposedly they found a Abby already, or there's
She showed up in one of the episodes.
she did?
Yeah, she was in the background. I forget which episode, but she was.
No, no, that wasn't Abby. That was
Oh, that's the girl, sorry. I was
yeah,
thinking
that's
something.
that's the other girl. That's the other girl.
I got confused, but yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, that was cool. That again, we're dancing around this. If you know, you know. Um, But yeah, that girl pops up, and I thought that was really, really cool how they laid the foundation for that going forward. But
Mhm.
I'm curious to this is what I would kind of like to see. Again, I'm gonna dance around this. This is
Mhm.
at the end of everything that happens. Um, I would like Abby's character to appear, kind of like a MCU character, if you will, like a MCU villain, something like that, just to kind of give it more like reason, just to set up the foundation a little bit more.
Just have Nick Fury show up and say, "Abby, we need you." Na, 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 Abby will return in Avengers 5.
But something like that, like I would like to see Abby's character make a brief cameo because I think that would be really cool.
Mhm.
Also, too, after one thing I find super not funny, but it's just like I always find it like it always makes me giggle. In the games, Abby's fucking ripped. Like that girl could like fucking crush a watermelon with like her pinky. That's how fucking strong she is. So if Abby isn't fucking like, She-Hulk shredded, I don't want her. That's my thing.
Honestly, Abby could crush heads with her thighs. So I
Yeah.
hope
That and
so.
that's her warm-up workout.
Mhm. Infected heads with her thighs. Ooh, 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 that's her workout. So good for her. That's the
Yeah.
only
If I
recap.
if I don't have a buff Abby, the show's failed in my eyes.
Let's go online and complain about it.
Neil Druckmann, I know you listen to this.
Yeah. Why isn't Abby shredded?
They haven't even casted her yet.
I like how all these, like, guys online are like, "Oh, Ellie's too managed, da, 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 da," and we're just like, "We want our Abby to be buffer."
Uh, the duality of man.
I mean, I don't okay, there are some guys I saw a post because there are
I
some
know what you're
guy,
talking about. I know
you
exactly
know
what you're
exactly what I'm talking about.
but go for it, go
He
for it, go for it.
posted images of, like, this buff chick. I think she's, like, a social media influencer or something. This buff chick, and he's like, "How could you be attracted to this?" And when I saw the picture, I was like, "How could you not? Don't you ever want, like, a buff lady just to, like, take care of you?
You know,
Just, like,
I
charge?"
I,
Nice to look at. Muscles are muscles.
Also, hold on, before we like get more derailed. Go last episode of The Last of Us is coming up this Sunday,
Oh
and
my god.
we're gonna get super spoilery. I won't talk about The Last of Us 2 for obvious reasons, but yeah, we're gonna get into that. Anything else you want to talk about with The Last of Us though, Noah, before we go back on Buff Girls?
I'm wondering if what at all they're going to change from this.
I think
So I think it'll be
this one,
interesting.
yeah, I hope they stay true to the script as well for this one.
But I think it'll be interesting if they diverge. In maybe not in the ending, but maybe how he gets there. Because maybe there'll be a thing where like certain
Yeah, I can
characters
see that.
certain characters that aren't in scenes end up there, you know what I mean?
Hmm.
And
Yeah,
certain characters that may not have been involved become involved. So I'm interested to see if they change it like that way.
because in the game, I will admit it is kind of like, how the fuck did you end up here at the end? You know, it just kind of feels a little forced. But yeah, I'm excited to see it. I think this has been one of those shows where it's a cultural phenomenon, if you will, you know? And HBO is does such a great job at doing shows like that, where it's like everyone tunes in week after week. They had that with Game of Thrones. They sorta had that with Westworld, then they fumbled it. And now they have it again with The Last of Us. So I'm happy to see that HBO continuously is doing stuff like this.
Like they make cultural events.
Yeah, they really do. And same thing with like Pedro Pascal, where when I used to deliver pizzas, I remember it was like every Wednesday, or at least like every weekend, I guarantee you there would be during like Mando season, like
Mhm.
2 out of every like 5 houses were watching The Mandalorian. So I'm like, okay, I'm so happy. I'm happy to see that this guy has enough fucking star power to like create cultural events, because even though Mandalorian is a lot more kiddie than The
Mhm.
Last of Us, he could still bring in so much viewership.
I saw a funny meme where it was like, oh, in the writers' room of War of the Ring or whatever, and they're just like, how do we make the second season better? And they're just like, one, two words for you, Pedro Pascal. And they're just like, just bring him into the Lord of the Rings show, and everyone will love it.
Yeah, that would be cool. I need to watch that still. I need to get on that.
Some of the characters is kind of annoy me, but I enjoy it.
Overall, what would you give that show out of 10?
Oh my gosh,
Honest rating.
I give it 7 rings out of 10.
Damn, just enough for Golem to get.
Just enough for a goal.
Alright, but is there anything else you want to talk about, Noah?
No, I think I'm good here unless you wanna give out some homework.
Yeah, we haven't done that in a while. I've been thinking
We
about
did it
that.
last episode, didn't we?
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know if you heard my stomach.
Grr, it's hungry.
Yeah.
Uh, I my homework for everyone is to this is the same homework I think as last time. Buy Titans #1 that comes out in May at your local I
No,
need
no, 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 no. You can't give out future homework. You're not
I
gonna.
need it. I need this shit to do well.
I'm
Do you
not.
understand?
I'm not gonna. No, no, no. I'm not gonna. I'm not gonna let you be that teacher that assigns homework over the weekend.
No, this is like the project for the midterm. I need
No,
everyone
no, 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 no. Give them.
I'm releasing the information early so you can prep for it.
Then you know no one's gonna do it till like the week before, right?
Yeah, I know. Okay, then everyone just go watch One Piece. I've recently started watching One Piece.
Oh God, why would you do that to yourself? God, you give out the worst fucking homework.
Everyone, you know what? Just watch episode 382 of One Piece.
It's the randomest fucking episode.
You know what? While you give them homework, I'm gonna look up to see what episode 382 is.
Okay, and for your guys' homework this week, it's a lot more relaxed. Okay, you are going to go buy a very cheap Lego set. Okay. Now, I'm fully aware everyone's financial situation is different. So if you can't
Mm.
afford it, it's okay. But I will say this, there are mini sets you can buy for like $10, maybe like, yeah, like about 10, 15 bucks. So if you have $10 to $15 to spare, and if you don't, then no worries. Go get
Oh,
yourself a
no.
mini Lego set and go build it. That's your homework.
Honestly, you don't have to do my homework. I just googled the episode and it's a filler episode. So you don't even you don't have to watch this if you don't.
All right, but we will see you guys next week, and until then, we will see you later. Gators.
Bye.
Bye, Kevin Prime.
Bye, Kevin Prime. Hey, thank you so much for listening. If you'd like to check out some of Lewis's works, you can check out his articles on GameSpot and IGN. You can find him on Instagram and Twitter at I'm Luis Gutierrez, and on TikTok as I'm Joshua Joestar. If you want to follow me and read some of the things I've done, you can go to panelsandpages.wordpress.com, my TikTok at Noah is Garcia, and my photography Instagram at Noah Garcia_photography. Thank you so much for listening, and I'll catch you guys later. Bye.